So when we're looking at variances in terms of manuscripts, we would apply textual criticism to see if those manuscripts are indeed written by the people who say that they were written by, but we don't necessarily rely upon the manuscript. The primary evidence, of course the manuscripts are there as well, the primary evidence is the memorization of the Quran. The fact that it's been memorized from cover to cover and passed down, and we have chains of narrations to corroborate that also.
So if the primary sort of source of the Quran is oral transmission, is that
Yes,
what you're saying?
it's not,
So
yes.
If the oral transmission is the primary way, then how can we verify whether it has been perfectly transmitted?
Yes. So the way you do that is through the means that I discussed, through manuscripts also. Although it's not the primary, it doesn't mean that there is no other evidence that you can take. For example, you can take manuscript evidence. There's also historical evidence that you can take as well.
I'm just not sure how oral transmission is relevant if you cannot ask someone from the time of Muhammad to recite the Quran for you. I mean, all oral tradition that we have is the present oral tradition, like by definition, right?
No, not necessarily. So in Quran we have something called isnad. Yeah, isnad means the chain of narration. Yeah, and in Islam the chain of narration is actually more rigorous and more comprehensive than any other chain of narration system posited by other faith groups. For example, if we say a statement of the Prophet, peace be upon him, we can tell you who we had it from, who they had it from, who they had it from. We know every single person in the chain, name, family, tribe.
Yeah, the problem is
if I can just finish my point. And then what we can do is that some people think that's a chain, but that chain now, if it's corroborated by multiple people saying the same thing, then that's something called mutawatir, yeah, or sahih, yeah. So multiple people saying the same things, and then on top of that, when we're talking about manuscripts, because we've got manuscripts of the hadith literature as well, sayings of the Prophet, which have been carbon dated, and the manuscripts do exist, and we can go into detail if you actually want to, if you're genuinely curious about that. But I feel like you want to say something, so I'm going to let you respond to that.
So
is it okay if I just clip this here? Otherwise, it's just going to...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? Yeah, I'll just do it on here, just so it's easier, so they can hear you as well.
So these chains of transmission,
Yes.
I mean, the chains of transmission are an easy way to pretend you have a proof. Like when someone compiled the hadiths, for example, they would write down chains of transmission, but today we have no way of verifying whether these chains are genuine. Like, we cannot go back to the past and ask the transmitters whether this hadith is accurate. So all of that could have been as well, might have been as well made up.
Yes,
so
that's true. That's a good point.
So this is not a very strong evidence.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't necessarily want to go into these oral traditions.
No, but you've made a claim, and I'm telling you that Islam doesn't fall prey to that, and I've got the evidence that you're saying. So when it comes to the books that are known, like Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawud, all of these books of hadith that are common, of course the manuscripts came later, but one of the somewhat contemporary discoveries that we have is a compilation called the Sahifa of Hammam, yes, which is a student of the companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him, within 50 years of the Prophet's life. Yeah. Now that manuscript is housed in Berlin, it's housed in Damascus, it's in Istanbul and in Cairo. So there's 4 separate manuscripts, not only in Muslim countries. I give you the example of Berlin as well. And there was a Christian scholar called, if I can just finish the point, it might be of benefit to you, and then you can respond, no problem. There is a Christian scholar called Marston Spite. Marston Spite looked at this manuscript and compared it, because this manuscript, 98% is in Imam Ahmad's Musnad, and 70% is in Bukhari and Muslim as well. And he compared both of these. Again, he's a non-Muslim, and he's seen this manuscript, which is empirical evidence, not solely what you said, testimonial evidence. So he then compared both of them, and he said there was no evidence of something being deliberately changed, maliciousness or something inaccurate. The meanings were indeed, he's corroborated the fact that the meanings have been preserved. So this is both empirical evidence that verifies the testimonial evidence. What would be your response to that?
So how long is that manuscript?
That manuscript is within 50 years of the Prophet's death.
I'm asking about the length.
That manuscript is, yes, the full manuscript, complete. Sahifa of Hammam, and it's housed in Berlin. You can check it.
This is a collection of hadiths, right?
Yes, this is a collection of hadiths.
So
it's the collections of Sahih.
It's like,
it's
does
100.
It cover Sahih Muslim completely? Doesn't cover Sahih al-Bukhari?
No, this is a collection of the hadith of the student of, I think it was a companion of the Prophet. Abu Darda, I think it was.
But it is only a small fraction of the.
There are 138 narrations in there.
Okay, so
sorry.
So it's not that many compared to Sahih Muslim or Sahih al-Bukhari, right?
Well, Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari are not the benchmark. Bukhari had his own collection. Muslim had his own collection. Abu Dawud had they have their own collections. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because it's not as much as him, therefore it's not as valuable. I mean, that's
no. My point is that if you have 138 hadiths that are dated the manuscript of which is dated to within 50 years of Prophet Muhammad, then you have 138 hadiths. But what about all the others? Can you derive all the important doctrines, and can you prove the preservation of the oral transmission of the Quran from these 138 hadiths?
But bear in mind, I was responding to your point, which was that the hadith, how can you verify the authenticity of the hadith? I've given you one case study of a manuscript 50 years from the Prophet being discovered recently, attributed to a companion, and it matching with what's in Bukhari, matching with what's in Muslim, matching with what's in Imam Ahmad's Musnad as well. So this is an evidence, because you're asking for an evidence, and I've given you an evidence of where this is matched up.
I mean, this would be only
now you brought up something else.
This would be evidence that would only confirm a small fraction of the hadiths that are in Sahih Muslim or Sahih al-Bukhari. It's possible that they used different sources and then they added their own things, or they added things that the rulers wanted to be in the hadiths for political reasons. So,
no, but I've already demonstrated to you that they were the same.
No, but
and this is a Christian scholar verifying this.
But again, even if they are the same, it is a small fraction of the hadith collection of Sahih Muslim or Sahih al-Bukhari.
So am I correct to assume that?
If it's like 2% or 5% of Sahih Muslim,
this
doesn't say anything about.
No, but we've got manuscripts of Bukhari and Muslim as well. What's the issue?
Well, the issue is that they wrote that thing 200 years after Muhammad, 150.
But we're just going around in circles. I've given you an example of a manuscript that's dated to 50 years after the Prophet.
Which is a small fraction.
It's a small fraction, but that small fraction, a non-Muslim. And bear in mind, it's like your ex-wife testifying that this person was a good person, because majority of the competition is between Christianity and Islam. So here is a Christian scholar, Dr. Marston Spite, saying that, you know what, put my hands up and I say that, look, there's no discrepancies between this. Now for you to say no, you need something from the time of the Prophet that's 100%, and 100%. Well, that's what you said. It's a small fraction. So I want to know what evidence do you require?
So we started this discussion by maybe asking about the preservation of the Quran, right? And you said that your knowledge about this is based on the preservation of the oral tradition, right? Through the oral tradition.
I'm saying primarily, yes.
Primarily through the oral tradition.
But not solely.
this oral tradition is testified to where in the hadiths.
What is? It can be measured by even you. You can go
this,
home and you can check it.
No, so this oral tradition is testified to where?
That doesn't make sense, and it doesn't have to be testified. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you're non-Muslim, you check the people, the people in the chains, and you can verify it, and you can check it yourself.
How we can verify it?
Because there's biographies of the narrators in the hadith. On top of that, the chains are there.
But we cannot ask the narrators.
So
we cannot verify it.
That doesn't make any sense. You don't need to ask to verify something. You can check historically if that person existed at that time, if the person that they're narrating for, if they lived at that time, if they were indeed the student of that person, if they existed there. For that we need historical accounts. There's a prophecy mentioned in the Quran about the Byzantines beating the Persians. The Quran made this prophecy. However, this was verified by Theophanes, who was not a Muslim, in his primary source that validated what was mentioned in the Quran. Now, he didn't go there and ask the people. There's a historical evidence that he's given with regards to what he observed, what he heard, and that's the evidence that's been provided. So for you to say, no, in order for me to verify it, I have to hear from him, that's a very high bar that you're setting. Because
that's what verify means.
No, verify is actually not. According to who?
According to the definition of the word. But
no, verify doesn't mean that you have to ask that person. That's false.
Basically what you are saying that if
loads of documents get verified online, but it doesn't mean that they're speaking to you.
Yeah. What you are saying is basically if we know that a person referred to in the narration existed.
No, I'm saying there's a claim. You can verify that. You can check check that claim. I'll interrupt you if I want to. You can interrupt me if you want to. Speaker's corner.
Yeah. So you basically said that if we know that a person mentioned in the transmission actually existed at the time.
Yeah, you check the historical accounts, yes.
Then that somehow proves the account that is written in the hadith.
That's called history.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's exactly how history works.
Just because a person existed doesn't mean that a quotation from this person is genuine.
Not necessarily. What you can do is
people gave quotations from Alexander the Great. The Quran gives quotations from Alexander the Great which are fake because they came 1,000
like
years.
What?
I don't remember.
That's because there is none.
Not true.
Okay, then tell me. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, you can look it up on the internet afterwards.
Well, so you give me no evidence and I need to waste my time looking for something that doesn't exist.
Yes. So
is this the evidence you're bringing today?
So again,
you're asking me for very high level evidence.
Interrupt me.
Well, I'll interrupt you if you're speaking. If you're claiming that something's in the Quran,
but this is not high level evidence.
It is. Your evidence is high level evidence. So the Quran fakes quotes about Alexander the Great. Where's the evidence? I don't know.
So the hadiths.
I don't remember.
So the hadiths mention that. Oh, this narration is from such and such a person, and you say, oh, because this person existed, this proves that hadith is true. Glorious Quran, glorious hadith. Oh, praise be to the Lord, whatever. But this is not a proof. Just because someone existed doesn't give a verification to a statement from a hadith.
Okay, let me give you an example.
But let's go back to the.
Let me give you an example. If I tell you there's a bus on fire there, will you accept what I'm saying?
Well, I will.
No, if you can't see it here. If I say 5 minutes drive down, there's a bus on fire there, will you accept what I'm saying?
I will remain agnostic about
agnostic.
it.
If somebody completely different comes from a completely different background, from a completely different direction, say the same thing to you, will you accept?
I will be kind to accept.
What if a third person now comes, again from a totally different direction, completely different background, will you be inclined to accept?
Yes.
So there's a statement, I'll give you an example of Imam Malik. Yeah, he gives a statement of the Prophet. Now this statement has been narrated to us by Imam Malik. Yeah, then a completely different person, he makes the same statement. Yeah, Layth. Then Ayub makes the same statement. Now these are three people that are making the exact same statement. So according to your criteria, that should be true then.
Yes. So maybe you thought that I'm being sort of extreme about it, but like I agree. If there are multiple independent witnesses to something, and they are generally independent, then yes, we
That
could,
you can also verify, yeah.
then yes, we could accept it as probably true. So if you can show me some narrations that have multiple attestations, and it's an important
just gave you
point.
one.
It's an important point to be to be sure that they are independent, that they are not copying from one another.
Yes.
Then sure, that could be fine.
Okay, I'll give you one then. There's a book called The Muwatta of Imam Malik. And in the Muwatta of Imam Malik, this is the first narration, so it'll be easy for you to find it. So in the Muwatta of Imam Malik,
why do you worship a God that is responsible for the death of every single human being alive? Why do you worship a God that's responsible for every rape that ever happened? Why do you worship a God that created a world full of cruelty and evil and illness and sickness?
Do you want to
Why
talk
do you
about
worship a God? Yeah, I do.
maybe after this conversation.
All right.
Why you don't do that to Christianity? Explain it again and again.
Okay, so like I said, the first hadith says if someone misses the Asr prayer, he has suffered a great misfortune, and then the hadith continues. This is narrated by Imam Malik, whose book it is, and we have the manuscript, which is in circulation as well, by his student, which is Muhammad al-Shaybani. That's the manuscript. So Imam Malik quotes this independently. Like I mentioned,
Can you repeat what it says?
yeah. If someone misses the Asr prayer, you can ask me after. Asr prayer, the afternoon prayer, he has suffered a great misfortune in his family and wealth. So this narration is corroborated by Ayub, Hajjaj, Layth, Sakhar, and Imam Malik himself.
Okay, so let's say I agree for the sake of argument that this is what Muhammad really said.
No. Let's first stick with the point. You said you asked for an example of a narration in which various people are attesting.
Yes.
I've given you the names of those people. I've given you the book. I've also told you whose manuscript that we have as well. So let's just stay with this point. Is this acceptable evidence to you?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Okay.
again, I didn't say that there are
No, that's fine.
that there are no hadiths that are genuine. Like some hadiths are well attested and can be probably traced back to Muhammad.
All the hadith in Bukhari as well, they can also be found in I think Bujairi and in Bujairi, and there's another book as well. I don't want to misquote it. Do you want to know or
No, not
okay?
really. But yeah,
So there are multiple
we
corroborations.
But we are discussing the preservation of the Quran. So
Yes.
how do these isnad, how do these chains of transmission sort of prove the perfect preservation word for word?
Yeah, so
of
at the
Quran?
time of Uthman radiallahu anhu, when the Uthmanic Rasam was being compiled, for an ayah to be accepted, if somebody brought forward an ayah, it would have to have been attested by at least 2 witnesses per ayah.
So this information is from some hadiths, right?
Sorry?
So this
No,
information-
companions. The companions attested. 2 companions had to attest to the fact that indeed
But this information
These
you
are chains,
saying,
yes.
This information is from some hadiths, right?
these are chains, yes. Hadith is sayings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each ayah of the Quran was corroborated by multiple chains. That's why we say
But this is according to sources Sahih Muslim and Sahih al-Bukhari, right?
No, hadith came afterwards. You said
No, but where are you taking this claim from?
where
are you taking this claim from? That Uthman compiled the Quran and it was based
Oh yeah.
witnesses.
One of the sources that we know is the hadith, yes, the sayings, and
Okay,
also
so
ijma' of
this-
the companions as well.
So this claim you're making is based on some hadith, right?
That is one of the evidence. I mean, there's four-pronged approach. Our evidence is Quran, hadith, ijma' and qiyas. So yeah, we take the narrations. We'll also take ijma' of companions as well. We'll take the manuscript-based evidence also. We'll take there's numerous evidences. Preservation of tajweed also.
Anyway, so you said that based on some hadiths, Uthman or the
That's
Quran,
not what I said.
written Quran was compiled from testimonies of multiple witnesses, right?
I gave you multiple sources of evidence. That was one of the evidence, yes.
Okay. I mean, is there any other source for this claim besides the hadiths?
Sorry?
So what are the sources for this claim that multiple witnesses were required to write down an ayat?
Yeah, tariq.
What's tariq?
Tariq are books of history.
Okay.
Yeah, Islamic books of history that have their own chains.
But they also are these books contemporary to the compilation of Uthman, or did these books come later?
Not too late, no.
But like 100 years later at least.
It's within the first century. Within the first century or so, yeah.
I mean, since these are Muslim sources, obviously the Muslims would want to paint the compilation of the Quran in the most positive light possible.
No, we have manuscripts also.
Even here we have some doubts. But sure,
Not necessarily.
we can discuss the manuscripts.
Like the manuscript, the Birmingham manuscript. The Birmingham manuscript was actually carbon dated by the University of Oxford.
Yeah, so
not a Muslim source.
I'm familiar with the Birmingham manuscript. It is interesting that it is not identical to the modern Quran, simply because it has a different orthography.
No, that's false.
It doesn't have.
It's 100%
the
word
anas.
accuracy. I've looked into it as well, actually.
So scholars.
Which scholar?
Scholars believe.
Which scholar?
Okay, let me.
آيات بينات وهو يتكلم اسم الاكستريمست أسامة بن لادن of England.
Abdul Karim, Paul Williams, yeah?
He came from
Huh?
Egypt.
Yeah.
He believes in ISIS, Al-Qaeda,
can do.
Jabhat al-Nusra.
Yeah.
He wants to make jihad in the park drinking tea,
Paul.
holding a stick. And he wants to bring jihad
Okay,
here.
so,
Brother, he can't even make jihad in his stomach.
This is from Wikipedia, which quotes a guy. His name is Sayud, H. Sayud.
Who?
H. Sayud, statistical analysis of the Birmingham Quran.
Who is that, sorry?
This man was part of the harmless country.
H. Sayud, 2018. Statistical analysis of the Birmingham Quran folios in comparison with
Okay,
the
make your
Sunnah
point, yeah.
manuscript. The orthography of the text differs in respect of the writing or omission of the silent alif. So the Arabic script at the time that the manuscript was written tended to not write out the silent alif.
He swear, Ramadan, he swear.
And another point is that these
Can you finish that point first? I haven't understood the point that you're making. The silent alif is to do with like diacritical marks and alifs. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I mean the usage of...
It's not a diacritical
No.
mark, actually.
I didn't say I said the diacritical marks, as long as alongside the vowels and the alifs, there's difference of opinion how they are used and applied. Some people will see it as a vowel. Some people won't see it as a vowel. That's not an omission even by the textual critics. They don't regard that as a variant. So I don't know where you get. In fact, Professor Thomas is actually Professor Thomas. Even Professor Thomas, who's actually looked into the manuscript as well, and we had the person that actually interviewed him here as well. That's why I'm saying that where is this coming from? But what was the point that you were saying? That because the alifs, there were silent alifs, therefore what?
Well, therefore, this is a different manuscript variant from the modern Quran. Like
How did you make that jump?
differences. The letters in the ancient Birmingham manuscript are different from the modern Quran, so it's by definition a difference, a variant.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Like this is a double thing. Like
No, because
you have modern Quran, which is different from this Birmingham manuscript, and yet somehow you claim that they are the same.
yeah, that's because it's from the Uthmani Rasam. That's the skeletal structure is of the Uthmani Rasam.
Oh, so
The
now
usage.
you're saying that if the diacritical marks are different but the skeletal structure is the same, then it's really the same thing?
Yes.
Well,
That's why we have the ahruf and the qira'at, which you're probably familiar
That's
with.
pretty stupid because even differences.
What's stupid? Your understanding of
Even
it.
differences on top of the ras affect the wording, affect the meaning.
Do you know what ahruf is?
Yes.
What's
So,
ahruf?
These are different modes of recitation of the Quran.
Right, so you know within the different modes that the usage of the vowels would be different. You're aware of this,
Yes,
correct?
and they lead to different wording. They lead
Yes.
to different meaning of the words.
Yes,
in
and
the
you
Quran.
also know that the
So-
ahruf have been verified by the Prophet ﷺ, peace be upon him, during his time. You're aware of this as well?
No, the arrows
Okay.
are due to scribal errors that have been introduced.
Oh,
after
you use
by
the word
Uthman
stupid,
or
but I would
after
say
Uthman.
that response is
So-
something that's more
So yeah, when it comes to Razm,
fitting of that
and,
word. That's
when it
not what
comes to-
ahruf are whatsoever.
When it comes to Razm and the diacritical marks, even the diacritical marks might affect the wording. They might affect the meaning, and there are multiple differences between Quran manuscript, which are due to diacritical marks, which affect the wording, and there are even a few differences in the Razm, in the consonantal skeleton, which obviously also affect the wording. So I can.
Are
give
you just going to be
I can
saying
give
these,
you-
or are you going to be giving me
Yes,
evidences?
I can give you examples.
But can you first tell me where you got your definition of ahruf from? Because you're the first person I've ever come across that's given me that definition. The ahruf is a scribal error. Huh?
I got it from Muslims who gave dawah at Stratford Station.
Like, what's their study? Which Muslim study? They're studying it, or random Muslim? You're telling me.
I don't know.
You're telling me about benchmark of evidence, and you're telling me that the evidence that you have is from a random Muslim from Stratford Station.
Well, you asked me what are the
Ahruf.
rules, and
I know
my
I asked you,
understanding-
and
my
I'm telling you the
understanding-
response that you have given me
Yes,
is
according
very
to my
disappointing.
According to my understanding, in Muslim tradition, the arus are different modes of recitation of the Quran.
And I've
Is
asked
that
you where
correct or
you've
not?
got this information from.
Well, I got it from online sources and Muslims at Stratford Station.
Well, might I suggest that you actually learn from scholars that have
What
actually
is
looked
your
into this?
definition?
Well, ahrufs are they are modes that were verified and validated by the Prophet peace be upon him during his time. They can number as less as 7 and can go up to 10, possibly more, but they were modes that were validated by the Prophet peace be upon him, and there's only like 1% of the Quran that there are several options that of reciting a certain word. For example, Maliki Yawmiddin or Maliki Yawmiddin. These have a different meaning, but they are both validated by the Prophet peace be upon him, and these modes do not contradict any. They don't have creedal disproving
So this is the
points.
usual. So this is the usual Muslim narrative, but I just disagree with that narrative. There is
Doesn't
no
matter if you
evidence for
disagree,
it.
if the evidence that you're
There is
giving me
no-
is of
there is
people
no
from
evidence for it
Stratford
beyond-
Station.
There is no evidence for it beyond what some medieval Islamic scholars came up with, and beyond.
Oh, so you go to a train station, you ask the people outside the train station, yeah?
So let me give you manuscript differences between.
Will we be talking about the Bible as well, or is this just going to be going one way?
Well, we are discussing about this.
Can we talk about the Bible as well?
So
Otherwise,
so for
I'm not just
example-
going to stand here, just let you
for
just
example-
throw questions my way. We need
example,
to have
we
a
will-
we do need to have a
Sorry,
dialogue
can I
going both
finish?
ways. We do
Yeah,
need to have a dialogue
we do
going
have a
both ways.
dialogue.
Yes. As long as you're not scared of talking about the Bible.
So this is based on a manuscript from Bibliothèque Nationale de Française, which is actually from the same document that the Birmingham manuscript is. They have just been separated at some point in the past, and they are kept at different universities.
No, the Birmingham
today.
manuscript only has 4 folios.
Yes, because it has been separated from a different document.
Says
that
who?
is different. Says Alba Fadeli.
And that's on Wikipedia, yeah?
Okay, dissertation.
That's on Wikipedia, yeah?
It's according to Alba Fadeli.
Is it on Wikipedia? Are you getting this from Wikipedia?
I'm getting this from PhD dissertation by Alba Fadeli.
Paul!
Paul. So Surah 22, verse.
Wait. Say
46.
this once again, because my friend over here, Mr. Paul Williams.
Nice to see you, sir.
Salam, nice to meet you too.
Pleasure. You're covered in these things.
I am. So you from what I recall, you interviewed the person that's looked into the Birmingham manuscript, yeah?
Yes.
Which is 4 folios.
Professor Thomas.
Professor Thomas. It's 4 folios.
Yeah.
The gentleman over here. What?
I've been told to go in the middle.
Yeah, just
Okay. Stand in front of the good
yeah.
idea. Very happy to stand in the middle.
So, from my understanding,
Yeah.
it's 4 folios.